Welcome to Weekly Sauce with Terry Tam and Alex, the Intern Corleone. Finally, we're back. Last week we spoke. What did we talk about last week, Alex? Was it soccer?
No, it was NHL.
It was NHL. We did the hub cities, all that stuff. I always forget.
Yeah.
I just finished. We just finished doing Hot Sauce Sports with P, so I'm all over the place. Today we're it's a pleasure to have us joined by Blain Potvin of Habs Unfiltered. How's it going, buddy?
Pretty good. I'm really happy you guys had me on. It's a real pleasure.
It's our pleasure, man. It's our pleasure to have you on. Alex, he was telling me about you. I'm like, fuck, man, let's get him on. Let's talk some Habs. I mean, we don't get enough Habs talking nowadays. I can't listen to the local radio, so for me, it's like I got to talk about it with people that actually know what they're talking about. You know?
Well, yeah, I'm definitely not a Tony Marinaro.
Oh man, I cannot stomach that guy, man. I don't know about you, but Alex,
stomach like a pun.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't think I should be talking much anyway, but it's just about I don't know if you feel the same way. I mean, I'll let Alex jump in too, but I feel like with Montreal radio, local radio, it's that they're so bipolar, you know. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's Habs fans in a nutshell. Really, it's they love them as long as they're winning, and then once they start losing, things start to tear things apart.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I have season tickets, so for me, it's like I'm always gonna try and go to the games, but I'll if whatever I can sell. But I had to give away a few tickets this year, you know, for free. Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, Alex has sat in my seats. They're pretty good seats, you know. They're a little high, but they're good. You know, they're good.
I was there for Nick Suzuki's first goal and Victor Meta's. So I love those fucking tickets.
The rare chance that you see Mete score a goal, right?
Yeah.
So Blain, I wanted to ask you. So now we're finally going to get hockey. It looks like we're about phase 2. Phase 3 is going to kick in soon. Habs are going to be playing the Penguins in the first round. What do you think is going to happen? Are we getting Lafreniere? Are we going to be able to move into the playoffs? What is it?
Well, my expectation is that the Canadiens are going to show up, and the Penguins are going to show them what a cup contender looks like. And odds are the Habs are going to end up ninth, but there's that 1 in 8 chance that they get number one. So, I mean, Habs fans should be excited. This is a win-win scenario, no matter what happens.
Yeah, I think that going into the playoffs, into this series, it's like we have that hope because it's a short series, right? And we have such a fast young team that I think that they can be able to maybe squeeze out a game or two. You know?
Yeah, I'm expecting a 3-1 series. I think the Canadiens are going to probably take one, thanks to Price, maybe a couple overtime games, but in the end, I mean, obviously Pittsburgh's much better. Yeah. I just think Montreal's going to put on a good show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alex, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I feel like Montreal's going to put on a good show. We could win 2 games. They could surprise us, but ultimately, I just don't see us beating the Penguins. I just don't see it.
I mean, what would stop them? I mean, if we're a young team, right? So for the Habs, they're a young, fast team. I see them being able to squeeze out a 3-1 series, maybe like. But I think Blain, you were more leaning towards the Pens, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to say. I mean, Malkin and Crosby at any given night can be the 2 best players in the world.
And that's the thing. That's probably the best 1-2 punch at center in the league. But I'm looking at the entire lineup for the Penguins. They're all coming back healthy.
Yeah.
I think Gensel is the only one that's still kind of a question mark.
Yeah.
But they went and added pieces. The Canadiens sold. And even though they sold, the Canadiens are still one of the better possession teams in the NHL. I think they're second behind Vegas.
Yeah.
So they could put on a good show, but at the end of the day, it's the finish for the Canadiens that's missing.
I think with the Canadiens, it's always been an issue with them is they've never really had a 40-goal consistent score. I mean, we've had Pacioretty at 39 and 40, but how many empty netters was that? You know, so it's you'll find out quickly. I'm not really high on Pacioretty.
Me either.
So we really haven't had that guy that's going to score goals. We brought Drouin in, but with Drouin, I mean, it's not. He's a winger. He's a secondary scorer kind of guy. He's not going to be your top line kind of guy. And when you expect that kind of output, Gallagher, I mean, as good as he plays and as tough as he is, he can't be our leading scorer every year, you know.
But he has been.
He has been, and it's
Brendan Gallagher surprised me, man. I didn't expect him to score over 30 goals for 3 consecutive seasons now.
I think he had 25 one year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I never expected this from Gallagher from 5 years ago. I thought he would be a grinder, but he's a revelation to us. So I absolutely loved his contributions to our team,
Of course.
and I love it.
So, Blaine, I wanted to ask you a few questions to get into it. So, how did you start with the Hockey Writers and Habs Unfiltered? So, give us a little bit about your page and stuff like that.
Oh well, I started with a different website for quite a few years, and then around say December, the Hockey Writers approached me and they offered to pay me. So I said sure. So I've been with them since December, and Habs Unfiltered started that with Treg Wilson back, I'd say about 2 years ago. And we went independent around December timeframe, and Matt Smith came with us. So it's just three military guys chucking shit about hockey and, making fun of each other's beards when we have them and that kind of stuff. It's, just standard stuff.
I think I'm in there too. I got the patchiest beard of all time right now.
I decided to start growing mine out there about 3 weeks ago. So.
This is probably like 6 months worth of work right here. And it's not even, I wanted to trim it down, but I'm not allowed. My significant other does not allow me to bring it down.
Oh, no?
If she likes it, she likes it. I'm not going to complain.
Mine told me to go get a trimmer.
So it's good, man. Habs Unfiltered, one of the best shows, one of the best Habs centric shows. We've been we're podcast friendly with Happy Hour with Chili Pepper. She's awesome, right? So
I love those guys. Those guys are amazing.
Well, Veronica, she's such a sweetheart, and she's one of the best followers on Twitter. You can always go back and forth with her. She's great. But there's a lot out there. But you guys are up there, and we appreciate you giving a better insight to the Habs than what we hear on the local radio here. I used to be obsessed with local radio here, like with TSN 690. Obsessed. I have friends that work there currently, and it's like, but I can't listen to it anymore because it's so bipolar. I could tune in one night, like you said, it's Habs fans. I could tune in one night, and one night they're talking about how Price is the best goalie of all time, and then the next day, Tony Marinaro's shitting all over Price. So, and then it brings to my next point, which I wanted to ask you, is why we get upset about why free agents don't want to come here anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that does play into it. I mean, there's the language factor. Not everyone's a francophone. I mean, I'm sure you guys are both bilingual as well.
Yeah, we speak French.
Yes.
You have to.
Yeah. I'm francophone for Point Saint Charles.
There you go.
So, but so the language barriers there. Taxes are freaking huge.
But the income tax over here is brutal.
Yeah, and the weather. I mean, I love Montreal, but if you have to choose between Montreal and Florida,
but that's my another point is nobody's even going to Florida. Like Florida's not able to bring in huge free agents anymore. I mean, Bobrovsky was one of them, but we kind of knew he was going to go there, and it was like, what other free agents have gone other than the guys that they drafted? I mean, they've drafted very well. Like Barkov's been drafted. Like, what free agents have gone there? I don't really know.
Yeah, they had those two free agents go there, like you mentioned. Dallas is one that's starting to attract more free agents because they're improving.
Well, there's no state tax there either, right? So
no, none. Nashville's another one with no state tax.
Yeah, I'd love to go.
And they got Duchesne last year when we thought we were kind of in there.
Yeah, but
no, not really.
So Canada's 2022 roster, everybody's writing their hypothesis who's going to make it. We actually had our blogger, one of our bloggers, write a piece on it. He gave his team with some controversy about where Perico was lined up and things like that. Some people commented, and he had put Perico at the left D, knowing he was a right D, things like that. I wouldn't even have put Perico on my list, but that's up to him, right? Do you think Lafrenière can crack this lineup?
I do. I really do. I think Lafrenière, as soon as he gets into the league, he's going to be a 70-point guy. I know there's a lot of comparisons to Huberdeau, but I think his game is a little bit more advanced in that I think he's more NHL ready now. So once he steps in, he's going to start producing. And this is 2022. He's got 2 seasons to play. By then, I think he'll be able to crack that lineup. Probably a fourth liner, but he'll be on that team.
Fourth liner, maybe if they play a physical Finnish team, maybe he'll get scratched, things like that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean,
kind of like PK was.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
PK a different reason, I guess.
So the way I see Lafrenière is, yes, he will be a big performer in the NHL. But will he make the 2022 roster? Like I said, unless he scores over 70 points, nearly 80 points to his first rookie season, and the way Canada has been choosing their players for Team Canada, I think they'll lean more towards the more experienced vets for that team rather than going for a rookie. I think Lafreniere maybe might deserve a spot, but with the way they're constructing their team, the way Hockey Canada, does the rosters, it's.
I'm trying to remember the last time they had like a 19-year-old on the team, a 19, 20-year-old on the team. I don't think it's other than Crosby. I think Crosby's the only one.
Okay, so remember Subban?
Yeah.
Subban was arguably a great defenseman for Babcock.
Well, I think he had just come off a Norris Trophy. He just won his Norris Trophy.
Exactly, and he did not play.
Well,
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it was because of his play style or more due to the fact he's young. I don't know. You tell me.
I think Blaine. I mean, you could probably correct me on this. I think Subban was just not Babcock's style, right? He's not that.
No, he wasn't.
That's it. Yeah.
He played that one game against Norway, and he did really well. But Babcock did not like him.
I mean, not everybody liked Babcock, as we found out this season, right?
No.
So I mean, it's tough. It's tough to say. I mean, that's the thing about Canada is that you can pick and you can make two world-class teams. You know what I mean?
You really could.
Yeah, you can make two teams that are better than the top American team. I mean, even though American team looks great right now, but it's tough. It's so hard to say. Okay, will Lafreniere make it? Sure. Will Perico make it? Maybe. There's so many guys that can make it. You know what I mean? And that's the great thing about Canadian hockey is like you'll always find talent everywhere.
Yeah, but the reason I was thinking that Lafreniere would probably be on that lineup is because the games are going to be in Beijing, I believe, and it's going to be on Olympic size ice. So they're going to want, they're going to want a lot of space, guys who can skate. So Perico is a good choice for that because he's very mobile, and Lafreniere he's got wheels. So
yeah,
that's kind of why.
Lafreniere, I watched him play at that meltdown I was talking to you about before the show, Blaine. Is that I watched Lafreniere play from when he was a kid. He played with his kid named Xavier Parent. He also played with a kid with Sam Poulin's son, and they grew up together playing together. And he was great from the age of 5. You can tell that this guy was something special. And the older he got, the smarter he became, and his hockey IQ level is what's really pushed him to number 1. Because if it was just on skill based, then you can say that Byfield could be a number 1 pick overall too, or Stützle or whoever. You know what I mean? But the reason why is because his IQ level is so high, and that's why I think he's going to be on Team Canada.
I can't argue that.
So I wanted to ask you. So the biggest debate that we have here in Montreal, Alex and I have had it a couple times offline, is Bergevin? What's his ranking? Like, what would you give him if you gave him a grade, A, B, C, or D, or maybe an F? What would you give Marc Bergevin as general manager of the Habs?
His first 6 years, I'd probably give him a B- because the team did fairly well, but he failed to get the pieces that they needed. Once he realized his failure, he decided to go with this retool, whatever the hell they're calling it now. I mean, call it what you will, but
it's a shitty rebuild, is what it is.
Yeah, it's a half-ass rebuild.
He invented a word. There you go.
Yeah,
retool.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Right now, I'd give him a C- at this point, because it's still in motion. We don't know if this is going to pan out. The development for the players is what's really key on this, and that's going to take some time. So, but this COVID happening is kind of a blessing for the Canadiens, because now it kind of put everybody on a playing field with the cap, where the Canadiens can actually take advantage of this and start using some of those young guys.
I mean,
trade them off.
We've said it before, but Claude Julien, he's known to basically sit on his young guys. Like, he really doesn't let them thrive. But I think he's the kind of let Suzuki take a little bit of the leash. Paling, not so much. Kotkaniemi, I think he gave him a lot at the beginning and kind of took it away. With reason. I mean, Kotkaniemi wasn't performing to what we thought he would, what he did last year. But overall, I think that this team has a bright future. Now, with a bright future, you're not gonna play well, and you'll get a higher draft pick. So at number 9, if they were worst case scenario, they get a number 9. Will who do you think they would take, and what position do you think they would need to address in the draft?
Ooh, that's a tough one. It depends who's there at 9, but when you're looking at the tiers of players, I think Holtz is one player that they're really going to be looking at.
Yeah.
But my bet is that they're going to pick Quinn. They need scoring. They really need scoring. Quinn's one of the better shooters, and they probably had more viewings of him because I know they were going to check out Rossi quite a bit.
Yeah.
So they probably got to see Quinn at the same time. So my guess is they'd go for him. He's a good two-way player. He's more mature. He's a little bit. He's not quite as big as Holtz, but he's going to fill out better. He seems to be a lower center of gravity. And he doesn't just score his goals by sniping them from the top of the circle like Pacioretty does. He actually goes to the net. He, he'll go in the corner. He'll dig it out. He'll go to the front of the net. He'll tip them in. It's kind of a little bit of Gallagher in his game.
Gallagher-esque, yeah. Kind of like a Pavelski type of player.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that's more what they're looking for.
Yeah.
What if Jake Sanderson and Quinn are both on the board when they're coming to pick? Do you think they'll pass up on Jake Sanderson?
Knowing Timmins a little bit, just kind of researching everything he's done over the years, I would think he'd lean towards Quinn just because you look at what they have for lefty coming up, and they probably feel that area has been addressed. So you notice the last couple of drafts they've been shotgunning their picks. So they needed some centers, they picked a bunch of centers.
Yeah.
They needed some defensemen, they picked a bunch of defensemen. So in this one here, I think they're going to be looking for shooters.
Caulfield, is he a righty or a lefty? I'm drawing a blank now.
He's a righty.
He's a righty.
Righty.
Yeah. There you go. To your point. I mean, it's great. I mean, this draft is so deep. You know what I mean? From 1 to 15, they're all top 10 draft picks. You know what I mean? And we were talking about it last week, is that you have maybe your 1, 2, and 3, and then you have that second tier, which is so tight that, and like you guys are saying, it's a debate whether Quinn, Rossi, or Sanderson are going to go, and these are all world-class players. You know what I mean? So it's good to see this year's draft, and even though I don't really agree with the way they did their kind of lottery, it's a little weird. It's interesting to see that New York Rangers could win the Stanley Cup and get a first overall pick, which is great. Yeah.
I love this kind of this. It just creates all kinds of storylines, and this chaos. I love seeing this sometimes. Just to watch the world burn a bit.
Just fucking set it on fire, see what happens. Best man wins. Last guy who's gonna eat the apple. I get it. So we fast forward. Okay, let's say the Habs get bounced. They get 9th pick. Let's say they get Quinn, like you mentioned. Next year, a bunch of young players. Carey Price is a year older. Shea Weber, a year older. How long is this retool gonna take before we actually start seeing some results in the playoffs? If we make the playoffs.
Personally, I think this team is pretty close to being a playoff team. Not saying that they'll win a series but they'll be in a playoff spot, I think, for the next 2-3 years or whatever, just constantly right there, maybe the last playoff spot, but there. But if you're going to ask the management that, they're going to say, what they're going to say.
Of course,
it's never done. It's never done. We're always retooling. But let's be honest. The timing for Price and Weber, their window's closing. And even if it's just to let them win somewhere, I think if you can't do it in Montreal, they got to let them try somewhere else.
We did a hypothetical, where would Carey Price get traded to last week?
Yeah.
And Vancouver and Colorado were kind of like, maybe, you know what I mean? And I think even though Vancouver, they have, why am I drawing a blank? Who's the Nets?
Vancouver? Or are you talking about the Islanders?
Markstrom. So they have somebody in there, but there could be something that they would go get if the offer was available. But Carey Price's contract is not friendly to other teams, and
No.
that's the thing about Carey Price is that even though he's probably maybe consensus the best goalie in the league, it's going to be hard to get rid of him. Maybe they just don't re-sign him when his contract's up in 4 years, whenever it is.
He's got 6 more years.
6 years. There you go. Even worse.
There's one contract this year, this off season that I want the Habs to. So now how last year they offered Sebastian Aho. I want them to retry this year, but with Vince Dunn from the St. Louis Blues. The Blues have zero money to re-sign him. If there's an offer sheet that comes, 4.5 million, 5 million, they're not matching that. I can almost guarantee you.
Yeah, they got $2 million in cap space. They have to re-sign their captain Peter Angelo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I did do an article on this for the Hockey Writers, and I covered more of trades than offer sheets. That in the scenario that I gave for St. Louis was trading for Vince Dunn and Jake Allen, because the Canadiens desperately need somebody to help pick up some of these games. So by doing them the favor of taking Jake Allen's $4.3 million contract, they give us Dunn, and in return we give them Mete, maybe Lindgren, and a second round pick, maybe a first round pick, late first kind of thing.
And Jake Allen, I mean, Maritime kid, right? Jake Allen, good goalie. You know what I mean? Never really, just kind of like always a little step behind, but he could be a starter in the NHL. We've seen him start for St. Louis before Binnington was able to get on his run, even though he wasn't having the best season. Obviously, the team was last place, but you see that Jake Allen is capable of, being on an 8th seed or a 7th seed team, and. It's interesting you say that, because I was actually thinking about that the other day. It's not a bad thing to have Jake Allen if you're able to do that the scenario you just played out with Vince Dunn, because you have Caden Primo and you can kind of groom him a little bit. You don't have to worry about Carey Price being like, who's this young kid bringing down my neck kind of thing. So where Jake Allen knows he's been in that role for a long time.
And having Jake Allen there, you can manage Price's games a little bit better, and that could extend his window further. So if you thought, Price has maybe 3-4 really good years left, by bringing in someone who can cover off 35 games a year, maybe you extend Price another season.
Yeah. A season or two. I mean, how old is he? He's 32, I think, right? He's right now?
Yeah.
So I thought he was 34. Alex corrected me last week. I thought he was 34 because it's been since I was like 18. He's a year younger than I am. So it's been since I was like 18 that he's been around. I feel like I've heard Carey Price's name. It's been a long time. So it's like we've known the great goalie that he can be, and he is, but we haven't really seen it, And even the year they made a run and they lost to Philly in the Eastern Conference Final, they beat Washington and Pittsburgh. It was Halleck. You know what I mean? It wasn't. Was it the Halleck that year? Yeah.
Halleck in 2010, and exactly, Price had a good run in 2015 until he got hurt.
Until what's his name?
Kreider,
yeah.
Kreider.
Destroy him. Then we had to put in freaking Tokarski in nets. For Tokarski.
Well, you gotta give Ticker credit. He did well. Course, I mean, they only lost 1-0, so
but he had a few good games after, but then he got
yeah.
It's tough. So I mean, I'm a diehard Habs fan. I mean, obviously you guys are as well. I'm optimistic, and I like Bergevin. I asked you what rating you would give him. I'd give him a B across the board, because even though he's made some sketchy trades, but he's actually made some good ones too. He's made some great ones. I told you before how much I didn't like Pacioretty, but I love the Pacioretty deal. But it wasn't
that perfect trade.
But it wasn't even Bergevin who made the offer. It was actually Pacioretty's agent who made the offer, and it was originally they were going to get less for it, and the agent's like, well, no, you can get more from Vegas, and Vegas is like, yeah, we'll give you Suzuki and Tatar.
Well, I was there on the draft floor when the trade was happening. I was able to overhear quite a bit of stuff that was going on between LA and Montreal, and Vilardi was one of the guys that was being named, so they were getting a decent package. It's just that Pacioretty didn't want to waive. He didn't want to go, so he didn't want to resign. So LA said, "Screw this," and then within 10 minutes, he had fired his agent and hired Alan Walsh.
Yeah.
And for I think it was about 3 hours, Bergevin was up in the stands talking to Alan Walsh, and it was not a friendly conversation.
No, they were going. He's like, listen, what you're gonna screw this guy's career, basically. Like, get him out of here. And Vegas wants him. I mean, Vegas is able to do this. This is what they're offering. And Alan Walsh played it perfectly. He looked for he took care of the team that his player was going to. He also took care of his player, and he even kind of helped the Habs in that case. You know what I mean? I don't think Bergevin would have made that trade.
Well, when you get Tatar as a throw-in, and Suzuki, who's looking like he's going to become a 1C,
there you go.
Yeah, and Norlinder's the pick that the Canadiens got.
Yeah, exactly.
Not a bad deal.
Oh, I'm not laughing. I'm not crying at all. And after I saw Pacioretty beat Pacioretty in the playoffs, where he'll score 2 goals in a 6-1 win, or score 1 goal in a 5-1 loss. You know what I mean? It's like. We didn't really lose much on Pacioretty. I think that, I mean, as much as I liked him coming up, I thought he was a big guy who played in a small man who played in a big guy's body.
Exactly.
Not really that physical, but he still was a great skater. Still is a great skater, great shooter. He has a good head on his shoulders. His hockey IQ is through the roof. But when it comes to Pacioretty, there was something missing there, and I think that he didn't really fit with what they were trying to do. And same thing with Subban. I mean, I don't know how you felt about the Subban-Weber trade, but I was pro Weber in this trade.
Me as well.
Yeah. Well, when the trade happened, I was shocked. I kind of figured there might have been a deal coming, but I saw the trade happen. I'm like, what the hell happened here? And then I saw what they got in return, and I thought, okay, you got a great defenseman.
Yeah.
But you're trading a number 1 right-handed defenseman for another number 1 right-handed defenseman. I was thinking, geez, that's kind of weird. Why not trade him for a center?
Yeah, exactly. At that point, it's like you just did everybody a favor. And then Mike Ribeiro came out recently and said how PK Subban was a bad teammate. He also said that about Saku Koivu, which discredits him completely to me. Saku Koivu to me is God. There's no Saku Koivu is the best. I have his jersey. It's like that's the only jersey I wear to Habs games. You know, so I'm obsessed with Saku Koivu. So you talk shit about Saku Koivu, you're not on my team. So that's it. So what do you think? So I know you said you kind of like the shitstorm that is the playoffs. We'll talk about the rest of the NHL. Who do you think has the best chance of winning the Stanley Cup this year?
Wow, that's a tough one.
At least who do you see kind of making a run, like Edmonton, Toronto, like where?
I think Edmonton could make a run because, pardon me, young teams, like teams built on youth and speed, I think are going to be are in the benefit on this one because everybody's coming in healthy. It's the start of the year, and you know at the start of any season, it's always those young run and gun teams that do well. So maybe Edmonton can make themselves get themselves to the conference final, maybe even a final. Who knows? Winnipeg's a team I would keep an eye on because Hellebuck has been standing on his head. Tampa, it's Tampa.
It's Tampa. Yeah. I mean,
and Boston is another team. I hate saying it, but God,
I'm more anti-Leafs than I am anti-Bruins because I've always liked the way the Bruins played. Right.
Well, I hate it because if the Bruins win, 4 doors over, there's going to be a Stanley Cup party, and I'm going to have to throw shit at Brad Marchand's house.
Really? Okay. His family's close by. Okay.
No, his house.
Oh, his house. He lives there. They're even worse.
Yeah.
There you go. I mean, okay, so we're praying for you, Blaine. We're praying for you.
Yeah. Go Tampa.
I like Tampa this year. I think Tampa has a very good chance of winning. I mean, I hope Vasilevsky is able to pull it out. It was unfortunate what happened to them last year in the first round. But
absolutely,
yeah. I mean, it's Tampa Bay is probably the team to beat. So we'll see what happens with them. I like where your mind's at with the anti-Boston stuff, though. I will say.
I mean, I love the city of Boston. I go there all the time. I'm a sailor in the Navy, so I go there all the time. So I love the city. But
you're active. You're active right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm there constantly, and I love going there. I even go to Bruins games. I even like Zdeno Chara, but my God, I do not like Brad Marchand.
And he's your neighbor.
Yeah.
You guys are friendly. You guys are friendly at least, there.
We've talked.
Does he know who you are? Does he know that you have a Habs podcast and stuff like that?
No, God, no.
Oh, I imagine he does though. He'd probably get on your show and just rip you.
Like, he would destroy me.
He'd get on your show and start chirping every Habs fan for sure.
Oh God, yeah, for sure.
It's made for good.
He chirps me enough just driving by my house when he does.
So out of all the Canadian teams, I hope that Edmonton's able to make a run. I mean, we all want to see McDavid do well. Leon Draisaitl, obviously, such a crazy season he had this year with all the hardware he won. I would love to see McDavid do it. I just don't think it's the year for them. And you mentioned Winnipeg. Winnipeg is a team to look out for. And if you remember, I remember this clearly. At the beginning of the season, they lost everybody, all their defensemen. Yeah. And yes. Bufflin's not there. So the fact that they're in this position now is Paul Maurice, man. Good for you. Good on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, coaching that team to something. And their offense, as good as Laney is, I love Scheifele. Scheifele is one of my favorite players to watch. Yeah. What a player. Talk about hockey IQ. And but they lost everybody, man. And it's really unfortunate. But hopefully that Hellebuck is able to stand on his head because he's going to have to, like you said.
Well, it is still the playoffs, and the physicality is going to matter. And Winnipeg does play a heavy game, so I think they should be able to do well once they get past. Like the short series benefits the underdog more often, but once Winnipeg gets past Calgary, I think we're going to see a Jets team really start to fly. Maybe we'll even see an old Smythe Division final between between Edmonton and Winnipeg. I think that'd be great.
I want to see the Battle of Alberta. Alex, sorry, go ahead. Go.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I was so sad to hear about their whole changing formats, because this year the Battle of Alberta was fucking amazing.
They had like 3 more games or something, and I felt like they played each other every week.
Yeah, and their games were amazing to watch. Fights every game. Intensity it was literally like a playoff game, and I just loved it.
Yeah, it was great. It was great hockey to watch. That's the kind of hockey you want to watch, and they brought it back. The Battle of Alberta, man. It's like it was intense for me. You see McDavid getting in there, his helmet's getting ripped off. Like these things. This is what hockey is. You can't take that shit away from the sport.
Nugent Hopkins started chucking knuckles in that in a couple of those games. So
yeah, and I love how Lucha's coming in there just fucking bulldozing his ex teammates, and it's great. It's great stuff. It's great stuff. So you heard it here first. Blain Potvin says the Habs are going to beat the Oilers in the Stanley Cup final. It's perfect.
Oh, absolutely.
There you go. Blain, I appreciate you coming on, buddy. Where can people find you on Twitter? Is it just at Habs Unfiltered, or you have your own?
Habs Unfiltered is the podcast. Myself, you can find me at Blain Potvin THW on Twitter, Potsy_7D on Instagram, and just follow the sound of chirping, and there I am.
There you go. Thanks, Blain. I appreciate it, buddy. Have a good one.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
No problem.